Did you ever make a decision to play backs, and yourself, in finals? In hindsight now, looking back, you think, I probably shouldn't. I was probably a little bit, not selfish, but self-aware.
Scotty would have played in a few. I might have played in 10, and there was... No, there was... but then the history's littered with great stories of players like Nigel Lappin in 03 is probably one of them, when that was at your expense, really. So it's littered with players that have played on in finals with significant injuries, but also the others where guys have put their hand up beforehand and said, I think I'll let the team down.
Who was that? Who did that recently?
Beamsy did that.
He did too.
I think it was in 2010, I reckon, one of the finals leading through early in the final series. Might have even been the granny, actually. He was playing with a groin and pulled out.
Remember that, yeah.
And how much do you sweat on the...
wasn't the granny, yeah.
How much do you sweat on the medical report? Do you know when the medical staff is going to come and see you and give you the yes, no, or are you hanging around the door? Or?
Well, those judgment calls are really, there's many factors that come into it now, and how significant is that role against that opponent at this time? If we do have an injury, like the bench that's now in play gives you a little bit of play. You can get through with 3 versus 4 potentially, but you've got to take that risk. What if you lose another one? So they're very different. If you only had 2 interchange players, it would change the consideration again. But what sort of cover do you have in your side for that player? I mean, you're not planning for the worst case scenarios, but you do consider them before you make the final selection.
Did you come across Mo upstairs, Collingwood's new
star? On the way out?
Yeah,
I've met Mo a couple of times now, and actually, funny story, when she first was signed, her and Emma King, I think, is their other signing, the priority signing, and she came in and I said to Meg Hutchins, these are the girls you were talking about? And she hadn't spoken to me about it. I said, as if we got our girls. And Mo said, what's my name again? So she was checking me and making sure that I was on the ball then. But she's got great character, great personality, and she can play. It was great to watch. And it's amazing how both the girls were wearing Bulldogs jerseys, but you knew they were Collingwood girls, and you were hoping that they went well. It was good to see.
I think it's been terrific. I mean, the pride tonight, Bucks, I don't know if you heard it speaking, the pride that she was talking about representing Collingwood, if you were hanging, it must have felt great. These girls just say, desperately want to play. And I said, you're playing for the most hated club in the competition. She goes, that's okay.
That's your perspective. Ultimately, she said it was weird to pull another Guernsey on, given that I'm signed on to Collingwood, and she's got a couple of finals coming up to complete a VFL season.
Yeah, she does.
And then on the other side of that, it's the 8-game season at the beginning of next year, 4 Collingwood finals, and then back to her old club for the rest of the year. But she's played 25 games of footy this year. So
and keep to what, 106, 108?
She's still got a couple of finals to go, so it was like she might have appreciated the week off.
Did you see any of the game? Did you see any of the game, yes or no?
Only a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
16 aside is genius, I reckon. Genius.
Well, I think we've had this discussion before, Bucks. We don't need to speculate because we do it at training quite a bit. I know we play 16 v 16 a lot, and it changes the game. So if the primary question or concern is reducing congestion, it is the simplest and probably the most effective method. And I heard Simon Lethlean quoted after the game saying he didn't even really notice that it was 16 aside. And I think if we just rolled out 16 aside and didn't tell the supporters, they wouldn't know. All they'd see, I suspect, is that the game flows a bit better.
They wouldn't. You're right. They wouldn't know. They wouldn't know. It wouldn't help you guys defensively, though, would it?
Oh, but we move with the times, and if the push, and it seems like in an inevitable move that the game is going to be opened up, and attack is king. So if we try to fight that, I think we're in for a short tenure.
What was your reaction to Travis Cloke's intent to depart Collingwood?
Yeah, so we had Clokey called me, I think the morning that it came out. We don't want to have a year like we had this year. I'm sure he doesn't either, but if he stayed with us, I don't think that we would see that. We wouldn't be doing it on that premise. think he can play better footy than he did this year, and that would be our intent, to get him back up to speed.
Did you challenge his pride to say, stay and fight this out, or did you immediately accept
Well,
it?
he knows that that's still a possibility.
Yep.
He's contracted next year. So, I mean, there's two sides to it when you get in this position as a senior coach. One is an understanding, and I've got a relationship with Travis over a long period of time, and want to see him happy and playing his best footy. And if he feels that that's going to be elsewhere, then I need to listen to that. But the other side of it is I'm the senior coach of the Collingwood Football Club, and the club's best interests are paramount. If we need to hold him to his contract, we will. But if we get fair compensation and it works in our favour and we can give Trav his wish whilst servicing Collingwood's needs, well, then we'll do that.
I reckon it's been terrific the way you spoke then and the way Travis spoke after he left. You know,
We're big boys.
Yeah,
you know,
he goes, I'm really good friends with Nathan. It's just that the footy, in his opinion, the footy had come to a wall. In my opinion, I say the same of Travis at Collingwood.
I reckon he's still got some good footy in him. And it could be a couple of seasons of good footy. It could be 3 or 4.
Why wasn't he able to adapt, Bucks? Why everyone more learned than me say he's got to lose weight. He's got to lose weight. Why wasn't he able to do that? Or why? I'm sure you gave him the directive to do it. Why wasn't he able to do that?
Well, I don't think is Clokey not allowed to have a run of poor form? Is he? Because
It's been a couple of years of average form.
I'd say 18 months, but he was injured towards the end of last year.
That's a pretty long stint.
Yeah,
You're
he
under
was
pressure.
Injured towards the end of last year. He didn't get injured this year, but there were times when we went the other way. We went with someone else. But he still played some pretty good games for us. We brought him back into the side 3 times. I know there's been focus that he didn't play 3 times.
I've heard some really smart people bring up the lose weight one with Travis Cloke. Why does the weight matter when he's probably one of the best running key position players in the competition? Chris Judd said it, a really smart person. I just don't understand where they're coming from. Is it
Yes, he said he had to
that he will
lose
be
5 to
lighter
6.
so he will run better? There aren't. You could count on one hand the number of key position forwards that run as well as Travis Cloke.
He still covers 15 Ks, you know, at the weight that he carries.
You could argue that that's his greatest strength as a player.
His greatest strength, I think, his greatest strength was his ability to contest mark.
Yeah,
that's what's fallen away. Can I just ask you one last thing on this? And if you can give us clarity, great. If you can't, you can't.
Yep.
I keep reading that Collingwood are going to pay, if he does go, Collingwood are going to pay a percentage of Travis's contract. How strong a possibility is that? Does that depend on the trade scenario? How much you come out on top in?
Well, there's other guys that will make that assessment as if in fact it is that Clokey moves on. But he's actually asked us to leave.
Yeah, his contract.
So
I thought
don't
he's
know
out.
whether that in fact has a part to play in
Glad
what
you
his
said that.
compensation may be next year. But that is a fair way down the track.